and welcome to Good Games Spawn Point, the show for younger gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
And I am D.A.R.R.E.N. Oh, we're so close to Christmas I can smell the pine trees.
Yes, and I put a lot of effort into my Christmas outfit this year, but Bajo, you look like you're just wearing your superhero outfit from like 2 weeks ago.
Well, it is getting towards the end of the year, Hex. I've run out of clean clothes.
I see. Well, we have got into the Christmas spirit a little bit early because this is our last episode of Spawn Point for 2013.
And what an episode, because not only do we have new consoles, but we have their launch games.
Ho, ho, ho.
We're also going to have a look at Super Mario 3D World.
Ho, ho, ho.
Whoa, that's a lot to pack into one episode, Bajo. You better go read the news super fast.
Okay.
Darren, while Bajo's reading the news, I think you better come with me. There's something I need you to do.
Affirmative. How mysterious. Whatever could it be?
Bajo here with the Spawn Point news from around the world. According to a recent report, David Heyman, the producer of Gravity and the Harry Potter films, is in talks with Warner Brothers to create a film based on the mobile game Temple Run. The story will apparently focus on an explorer who is chased through a temple by demonic forces after stealing an idol. The Tangible Media Group at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology has unveiled a dynamic-shaped display known as Inform. The device uses a Knack sensor and a grid of pins and actuators, which combine to give digital information a physical form. The researchers suggest the technology could be used to represent geospatial data, among other uses. And that's the news.
Oh, no,
Wait, we're not here to pick anything up. In fact, we have something we'd like to give you. Go on, Darren.
I just wanted to give you this. I made it myself. Just to say thanks, Mr. Mailman, for all your hard work.
And?
Oh, you do a great job. So, have a lovely holiday.
Oh, this is lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Darren.
You're welcome. Good job, Darren.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh.
It's really nice of you to bake that cake for the mailman, Darren. I think you really enjoyed it. Okay, new console time.
Let's start with the Xbox One. It's a pretty chunky box, isn't it? I must say, it is quieter than the previous 360, though, which is good, because the 360 sounded like it came with its own wind tunnel. I really like the controller, Hex. What do you think of it?
I love it. It's not that much of a departure from the old controller, which is fine by me because I really liked the old design as well. But there is something new under the surface of the controller too, trigger rumble. We're so used to that rumble being in the palm of our hands, but now we get that feedback in our fingers, which is so cool.
The Kinect's had an upgrade as well. The camera is now a bit better, and also it recognises you when you step into the room. And much like the old Kinect, it also comes with voice recognition, although I found it only recognised me about half the time. But I always struggle with that a bit, Hex. Xbox, go home!
That's not what I sound like. It worked a little bit better for me. I just still feel a bit weird talking to my console. I like the on-screen menu though, and it's nice and snappy too.
Oh, affirmative. The focus on this console's operating system is on allowing you to do several things at once. By snapping, you can place apps, websites, and TV feeds on one side of the screen while your game is in the middle.
Yeah, it all works really well, and once you get your head around it, it's quite easy to pause and resume and do other things.
One new important feature is now you only need one Xbox Live account per console, so you don't need to buy a different account for every single person in the house.
Both new consoles are making a big deal about sharing videos of your gameplay on social media, and the Xbox One lets you capture up to 5 minutes of your game to upload.
Yeah, I like that feature a lot, Darren. But let's have a look at one of its games, Forza 5.
My first impressions are that, while it's undeniably an extremely pretty game, it doesn't look like a huge leap over Forza 4 on the 360. But I think that's probably more of a testament to just how good Forza 4 looked.
There are some new next-gen features, though, such as the cloud-powered AI.
Essentially, the game is constantly monitoring how you and everyone else drives. It then takes that data and creates virtual drivers known as drivatars based on their driving behaviour. They then download these virtual clones into everyone's game so that you're racing against virtual versions of your friends and strangers.
Yeah, I was a bit unsure of this feature at first, but it's actually very cool. We definitely noticed a few occasions where the AI was making very human mistakes and behaving in pretty interesting ways. But it's always fun to try and take down your friends, even if they are just digital clones. And you actually get credits for races your drive-atar does while you're not even playing.
I think the most important thing is the driving and handling feels much better. And it was already pretty good. Cars really feel alive, and I have to say the trigger rumble is pretty amazing. You can feel your car losing grip as you accelerate too hard around those corners. It makes you want to be a better driver, and it tests the limits of your car.
There are only about half the cars and tracks that there were in Forza 4, which is a bit of a shame, but at least now they've included iconic Aussie track Bathurst, which is really cool.
In full disclosure, we haven't quite played enough of this game to feel comfortable scoring it yet, but we are enjoying it so far.
Oh, absolutely, and it really is a top-notch racer, so it's worth checking out if you're getting a new Xbox. Okay, should we see how the PlayStation 4 compares?
Yes.
Affirmative.
Oh, it's not that heavy.
Oh. These are very much our first impressions, but it's a fair bit smaller than the Xbox, very slim and stylish. Plus it's got a cool neon light. The design of it gives it a bit more personality than the Xbox, I think.
Yeah, I like the look of it a lot, especially the vents at the back. It makes it look like a spaceship. But they have brought back the touch-sensitive buttons, and I don't like them because they're quite hard to push, and my cat pushes them and it turns on and off and
Well, you can turn it on and off with your controller, Bajo. My sensors have observed that the PS4 runs hotter than the Xbox, which makes it a bit noisier than the Xbox One when it's in use.
True, but the PS4 is still quieter than the PS3, so it's not a huge problem.
Guys, I really love the new controller. The old thumbsticks have been swapped out for new ones with little ridges around the edges, which means no more sweaty thumbs slipping off them. Plus, they're a bit further apart, so you don't knock your thumbs together.
I think it's much better than the PS3's controller. It just feels better in the hands, but still feels like a PlayStation controller. It's also got a touchpad on the top that clicks in like a button, so I'm interested to see how developers use that in games.
You can also plug a headset into the controller, which is a big deal for chatting with friends online. You can now party chat no matter what you or your friends are doing on the console.
There's a tiny speaker on the front too, so some games will play sounds from it like a Wiimote. And I really like the new share button because by pressing it you can share pictures and video of your games with your friends.
Yes, but right now those features are very limited, so I hope they evolve that a bit more in the future. I also wish they'd evolve the menu operating system. It's not too far removed from the previous one, and PlayStation 3's was pretty confusing and clunky. It's also important to note that if you want to play online with PlayStation 4, you'll need to subscribe to PlayStation Plus, which does cost money. But much like the Xbox One, you only need one account per console. We also haven't been able to test out the remote play with the PlayStation Vita, and that's a pretty big feature, so we'll have to get back to that when it becomes available, Hex.
Okay guys, should we check out one of the PlayStation 4's launch titles? Knack.
Well, Knack, let the adventure begin.
I can't wait.
There's a war afoot between the humans and goblins, but one clever scientist has discovered a secret weapon, Knack. He's a living swarm of magical ancient relics. He might start off small, but by absorbing more relics, he can grow into a giant rock monster.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool power. I wish I had my own pet Knack. And when all the tiny bits of rock are flying around, you get a taste of that new PS4 hardware at work. It looks great. You can also use a handy dodge to duck out of the way of enemy attacks, which is cool.
The game is a hybrid of platforming and beat-em-up action, and I fear I must complain about the level structure. The game only allows you to move through very small areas, so the platforming is awfully basic.
Yes, the gameplay doesn't feel very next-gen, does it? Plus, Knack dies so easily from enemies, and also the checkpoints are really long, which can be frustrating. Knack's a giant rock monster. He shouldn't get hurt so much. He should barely get a scratch.
We have only had a small amount of time with Knack, but I've got to say, from what I've played so far, it just doesn't feel like a must-have title. I think if you're getting a PS4, then you're better off starting out with something like Lego Marvel or Skylanders.
Yes, Knack must join us in our expedition.
A lot of spawnlings have been asking us which console should you get, and it's always a tough decision. I guess feature-wise they're about the same, and power-wise they're about the same too. Really, it's all about the games.
Yeah, and I guess think back to the previous generation of games as well, because a lot of those games will have sequels on the new generation.
This is true, Hex, but for now, we need to go answer some questions at the Ask Good Game desk.
Good idea.
Yes. Darren, can you look after the consoles, please?
Oh, affirmative.
Don't break them.
Affirmative.
Don't break them.
Hello. Are you comfortable?
Oh, Hex, can you believe it's the last Ask Spawn point for the year?
I know, but that won't stop the questions from coming in, so maybe we should get Darren to keep an eye on the email over the holidays.
Yes, that's a good idea. No, that's a bad idea. Let's not do that.
All right, well, let's just see how many we can get through now.
Okay.
First up, we've got this one from Mr. Shu, who is on Bajo's PS3 in New South Wales.
Get off my PS3, Mr. Shu. You'll overheat it, and you'll melt.
Can you please review Space Engineers on Steam? P.S. Darren's a noobalator.
Well, Mr. Shu, we've been keeping an eye on Space Engineers, and it definitely looks like it's worth a review at some point. It's kind of a cross between Minecraft and a space simulator, where you can mine asteroids, build space stations, and fly spacecraft, which sounds totally awesome.
Yeah, it's still in development though, and with all the new consoles and games coming out right now, we figured it's probably best to wait until next year and review it when it's finished. Plus, we haven't had a chance to check it out for ourselves yet, but it does look promising.
Indeed it does, Hex. You can buy it now and get access to an early version of the game if you're really keen, but who knows what it'll be like in the final version.
All right, well, let's move on to this one from Blake in Shoal Bay in New South Wales.
How do you get buckets of water and lava? Thank you.
Minecraft?
Oh.
Well, that's fairly straightforward, Blake. Simply get a bucket, which you can make out of iron ingots like so, then right-click on a block of lava or water to fill it up.
The only thing to note is water and lava actually flow a few blocks away from the source block, and you need to actually click on a source block of lava or water to fill the bucket. If you click on the runoff, it won't fill up.
Okay, well, moving on to this one from I'm Coming For You, Bajo, who is under Bajo's bed in New South Wales. Hi, good game. I'm getting a PS4 and want Drive Club, Need for Speed Rivals, and The Crew. Which one is best? P.S. Goose, do these.
Huh?
Huh?
Oh.
P.P.S. Bajo, I'm coming for you.
Right, well, we haven't actually had a chance to review any of those games yet, so it's pretty hard for us to say with any authority which one is best.
Yes, while Rivals is actually out now, The Crew and Drive Club aren't coming out until sometime next year, so you'll have to wait until then if you want to know which one we think is best.
Yes, but from our first impressions, Rival seems like a pretty safe bet. I'd say if you simply cannot wait, then it might be worth a look. Of course, there's also Forza 5 and Gran Turismo 6 too.
But anyway, let's move on to this one from Help Me King in Help Me World, outside Australia.
Hi GGSP, I've asked you 101 questions, so please tell me, will there be a Sonic Riders game on the PS3? And are there any plane racing games on the PS3? Please answer. Bajo, do this. Well, Your Highness, sorry to say, but there hasn't been a Sonic Riders game since the original Xbox and PlayStation 2 days.
Well, there was that Sonic Free Riders game for the
No,
Knack.
Hex. No, Hex, that game did not exist.
Really bad.
Did not exist. We do not talk of it. But of course, there has been the great Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing games for PS3, and the latest one, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed, actually featured plane racing, so we definitely recommend that one for you. Other than that, there was the downloadable Skydrift, which was actually pretty great, and those are the only two I can think of.
Most plane games that I can think of are all about combat and not really racing. So let's just move on. We've got this one from Mr. Pants, who is in Pantstown in the Australian Capital Territory. Hey GG, I was wondering if the new Zelda game coming out, A Link Between Worlds, will have 2 save files. My brother and I both have a 3DS and we don't really want to buy 2 copies. Thanks, Mr. Pants out. P.S. Bajo, do these.
Mr. Fishy. Indeed it does, Mr. Pants. In fact, it has 3 save files, so you'll even have 1 to spare.
Well, that answers that. So I think we should move on to our very last question for the year, and it's from a mystery viewer who is somewhere in the ACT.
Who could it be? What is physics? Well, mystery viewer, physics is just when you do things to stuff and things happen.
Bajo, that's a pretty vague explanation. I think this is probably a good question for Darren, actually, because he knows all about that kind of thing.
Yeah, that is true. Let's give Darren one last call for the year, and then we don't have to talk to him for like a few weeks because we go on holidays and stuff. Yeah. Oh, it's ringing.
Hello, Bajo.
Hi, Darren, it's Bajo.
Hi, and Hex as well.
Hello.
Hey.
Physics is essentially the science of matter and energy and the interactions between them. It's the knowledge of nature. It applies to an incredibly wide field of subjects from the study of acoustics, optics, thermodynamics, magnetism, electricity, and even lasers.
Magnets, how do they work? But how does this apply to games, Darren?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, it applies to all sorts of games in all sorts of ways, Bajo. A game like Angry Birds is an excellent example of a physics-based game. Physics are involved in almost every step of the game. The further you pull back a bird on a catapult, the further it will fly, for example. While the angle at which you launch it will determine how gravity will affect its flight. Then, when the bird collides with the structure, based on the angle and the velocity of the collision, it will impact the structure differently each time.
Well, that was all very fascinating. Thank you, Darren.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Bye.
All right, well, on that note, we're out of time for this week and, in fact, the year. But we'll be back next year to answer more of your questions, so feel free to send them in here over the break.
Right, back to the studio, Hex.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. I better take all this stuff with us, pack it up for the year.
Well, we can leave Darren to do that. I don't think we really need to pack up some... I think you broke some things there. Do you need some help?
No, okay. Take the desk as well.
Guys, we've had quite a few Mario games in the last few years, but this is the one we've really been waiting for. It's the first full 3D HD Mario and the true successor to the awesome Galaxy series.
As the game begins, we find Mario and his friends enjoying an evening stroll when they find a pipe that leads to the Sprixie Kingdom. And when a Sprixie princess appears, it's no surprise that Bowser isn't far behind, keen as ever for a bit of a royal kidnapping.
Yes, Bowser doesn't seem to be into Peach anymore. This is the third game in a row where he's completely ignored her.
Well, technically, New Super Luigi U is just a remake of New Super Mario U and it simply reused the same premise, so it arguably doesn't count.
If you want to get technical. There's actually a bit of gameplay reason behind Bowser's change of heart. This is the first time since Super Mario Bros. 2 you can also play as Princess Peach.
Just like in the new Super Mario Bros. Series, you can now take 4 characters into a game for a bit of cooperative play. There's, of course, Mario, while Luigi, Peach, and Toad are all along for the ride as well.
This marks the first time there's ever been multiplayer in a 3D Mario game.
Well, technically, you could play a kind of co-op in Mario Galaxy.
Oh, playing as a glorified cursor doesn't count, Hex.
They all have their own characteristics that we've come to know. Such as Luigi jumping higher but skidding more, while Peach can use her dress to float briefly. And it's definitely some of the most fun co-op going around. Things were always hectic when there were 4 of us playing at once, especially because points are on the line to get that coveted crown.
The game is laid out through a classic overworld map. Each level has 3 green stars to track down. Some are quite obvious, but a lot of them are fairly well hidden or tricky to get.
Yeah, and boss levels are locked away until you get enough green stars, so you'll need them to progress. But even though I missed out on quite a few stars, it wasn't until the very last 2 boss worlds that I actually found myself having to go back and hunt for more.
You may have noticed we're referencing a lot of old Mario games in this review. And that's mostly because this feels like a best-of compilation.
Yes, Mario games have been relying on that nostalgia for quite a while now, but this one felt like more of a celebration of Mario's greatest hits rather than a rehash.
Yeah, but there are still a few new features to keep it fresh. First of all, the new catsuit power-up is definitely the star of the power-up show. Almost every level throws them at you regularly. It's a pretty fun power, letting you unleash swipe attacks and an aerial pouncing attack. But more importantly, it lets you scramble a considerable distance up walls, essential for tracking down secrets and green stars.
As much as I love cats, my favourite power-up was the double cherry, which creates clones. In some levels, if you play your cards carefully, you can get a whole bunch of clones going, and it's chaos. Especially if you're playing in co-op and you've all got clones, it goes completely bonkers.
What about the level design, Bajo? What do you think of that?
I thought they had good variety and they always threw something new at you. And there's such a range of power-ups that keep things fresh. Plus, some of those later levels get really challenging, which I liked. I admit though, I was tempted to take the easy way out and don the golden Tanuki suit on a few occasions.
You were rocking that Tanuki suit like all the time, Bajo. Noob detected, huh, Darren?
Affirmative, Hex.
Hey.
Too tough for Bajo.
It was pretty hard, right? My biggest complaint, though, is that some of these levels just feel so short. It's like they've taken the bite-sized level design from 3D Land and just used that as a template. And that was fine for a handheld Mario, but with this, I was expecting something much more substantial.
I know what you mean, but they were all really fun levels though, and I didn't mind the length. It just meant that I was always ready to jump into the next level.
In general, this felt like one of the shorter Mario games. You can get to the end after just a few sessions. However, there are plenty of extras to do after you finish the main game. Not to mention, it'll take quite a while to track down every last star.
I was also surprised how little they used the gamepad. If there was a Wii U game that was going to use all the functionality of the gamepad, it should have been this one. There's a few special Toad levels where you have to use the pad to get Toad to collect a bunch of stars, but other than that, there's really only one level you need the pad for, and that's to pull blocks out and blow platforms around. But that was it.
Well, we should wrap this up, Bajo. Final thoughts?
Well, this is a lot of fun, but I don't think it's quite as good as the Galaxy games. Still, it's just wonderful seeing Mario in true 3D HD. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Those Galaxy games are hard to top, but I just had so much fun with the co-op, and there's so much creativity in this game as well. I found it a joy to play, so I'm giving it 9.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Woohoo!
Okay, Goose, get in here. It's time to say goodbye.
Hey guys, I can't believe we've reached the end of another year already.
I know, and what a massive year it was.
I'm feeling a little sad.
Oh, Darren, don't feel sad. Think of all the next-gen games we shall return to next year.
We can always go on another holiday adventure, Darren.
Thank you to everyone who watched the show this year. We've had a blast making it, and we can't wait to return to your screens in early 2014.
Yes, so until then,
May all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.
Goose out.
Darren out. Oh, I've prepared a little something to end the year on. Carrie, if you could roll the bloopers, please. Oh.
Darren, if you were a dinosaur in real life, what would you be?
I would be a, Sorry, I didn't prepare for this.
And a good set of armor.
Prepare.
Next time on Good Game Spawn Link.
The glasses known as Cast 8. Whoa! Sorry.
Oh, whoa! Oh, whoa.
I'm the host for 2 whole weeks. 2 weeks.
Why wasn't Mario intro... No, that is right. It's hard. My own spelling is so bad, it's hard to work it out.
Because they always come out. Why? Well, I am.
I have to say, though, I have mixed feelings about the weapons. Sorry, one more, please. When I exited Australia...
Exited.
Sorry. I don't like any of the controller options. Excuse me.
Don't wanna hear you say it's the key change. I don't know what it is. In the game. Besides, you cheated first. Winners.
Well, you wait till you see the level that I'm building. Thanks the spotlight with new Luigi, super new Luigi U. Why super name?
And how is Forza Motorsport?
Santa, as your catchy little title is, we do sometimes review bad games, so.
This is too stupid. I'm shutting down to conserve power.
Okay, me too.
It's just a question.
Oh, Buccaneers is another word for pirate.
Not really, though, is it? Maybe it is.